I'm back. Yes, I've been gone for a while. I appreciate everyone for being patient with me. I was going through some stuff, man. Going through a breakup. But anyway, on to the point of the video. You know, I was sitting here. I didn't know if I was going to come back this week. I was thinking maybe next week was a better time. I've been streaming over on the Addict Arena channel because that's easier to do. You know, going through the breakup, it's a lot easier to mentally do. But I saw a lot more conversation on when it comes to whether or not is it too hard to play Elden Ring, you know? And this has not been something new. We've been dealing with this for a while now. You know, Fromsoftware has been dealing with this for years, ever since really I started playing this, you know, from putting pause menus in the game to just having difficult settings. The industry has really went at them throughout the years to make slight changes in their games to be more accessible to the community, to be more accessible to the gaming industry in general. Now, there's a lot of reasons that stuff like this is done, and I can't really determine on whether or not one or the other is right. For me, I've always been on the perspective, let the devs make the game that the devs want to make. And I felt like the industry was in the same way. I felt like the industry wanted the devs to make the type of game that they wanted to make. But it does feel like the only one that is about that is because as long as they make the game they want them to make, as long as people in the industry, and it seems like they do travel in packs for the most part, I do see when one person speaks out, you know, their buddies and the rest of the media speaks out. And it's not just the media, you know, it's a variety of people. I see influencers saying it. I see podcasters, but I do see a lot of like the prominent high tier influencers that consider themselves media. You know, these people are the definition of influencers, but they want to say that they're media for some reason. I don't know what that's about. But anyway, these individuals, they've always pushed for stuff like this. And look, first off, I want to give my perspective on whether or not this should happen. I don't think that if the developer wants it in the game, if they don't want it in the game, I don't think we should be forcing them to do anything. You know, gaming needs to be accessible. Gaming as in the hobby, gaming as in what we're playing, it needs to be accessible. I don't necessarily think every game needs to be accessible. You know, we already lock M-rated games away from people that are below 18. And I think there's a reason for that, because we know that these individuals can't comprehend correctly the events that's going on in these games. And you see developers trying to, like, you know, get away or get around that all the time as well. You know, they'll downgrade like the goriness. They'll do whatever they can for that, you know, E for everyone or T for, I think it's teenager. I don't know. But they want their game to be as accessible as possible. Now, the biggest issue I have with individuals in the industry coming out against this, and Alana Pierce is one of them. She's the one that just recently said some stuff, and you know, we could talk about that here in a second. The biggest issue I have with these individuals is we can't, and this is including myself, we can't say that we want the developers to make the game that they want to make, but when there's certain things that they do that we don't like, we want to change it, because I feel like that's not right. It would be different if, like, Fromsoftware never comes out openly and speaks against this. They do. Fromsoftware has came out on a variety of occasions and said that this is the way they like to make their games. They feel like the, you know, fighting a wall, which whatever boss you want to say in any of their games, and overcoming that challenge is part of what makes their games unique. And to make the game easier, to give it difficulty settings, is watering down that experience. And I feel like for years now, a lot of people in the industry has tried to make that possible. They've tried to get Fromsoftware to bend the knee. And, you know, shout out to Fromsoftware, because I feel like a lot of developers would have essentially, they would have, what's what I'm looking for? They would have just bent the knee. They would have made their game easier, because not only are they getting, you know, a lot of pushback from the industry themselves, I'm sure they're getting pushback from publishers that say, look, we want the game to sell as much as possible. This is what needs to be done. And shout out to Fromsoftware for looking at the people in the industry and telling them, all due respect, this is my game. I'm going to make it the way I want to. And looking at publishers, because Bandai Namco is like, look, we can sell this game to a lot more people if it's more accessible. Shout out to them, looking at them too and saying, yo, I appreciate it, but this is the way we want the game to be made. And one thing, people like Alana, a lot of people in the industry itself, not just Alana, there's a lot of people in the industry that have these opinions on, anything that's difficult in the industry. How are we to tell someone like Fromsoftware, probably one of the most successful developers in the industry right now, that the way they're making games, we shouldn't be telling them anything about how they make their games? Because clearly they know what they're doing. They've won 2 Game of the Years in the past few years, Sekiro and Elden Ring. And hell, I'm sure a lot of people would love to give this Game of the Year, even though it's a DLC. Shout out to the Earth Tree. We shouldn't be telling them anything. Because to me, they've shown enough to us that they know how to make these games. Now, I understand, in my personal opinion, as long as the game is made and then they scale down for the difficulty settings and not the other way around. Because I hate when you have these other games that scale up. You have easy mode, normal mode, hard mode, very hard mode, punch a wall mode. They have these ridiculous names for these difficulty settings that it just feels like they're bullet sponges. I don't want that. Have the base Elden Ring mode or base Fromsoftware mode. If they scale down that, I would be okay with it, because it's not. It's my priority of what mode I want to play it in. But here's the thing: you'll never see me saying that the game needs it. I don't think it would hurt it, but as long as Fromsoftware, if they wanted to, I would respect their decision. But I will never push that ideology onto them, because it's up to them. Now let's get into the elephant in the room, the Alana Pierce thing. She came out a lot of stuff, saying having children can be, I believe she used the word like temporarily accessibility or something like that. I don't know the term. Put in the term below in the comment section if you guys don't mind. But she pretty much said, not being able to pause the game is being, an inconvenience in a way where it's like they should put it in because it's that kind of inconvenience. Look, at the end of the day, Fromsoftware never asked you to play their game. Fromsoftware's, it's not their issue with your home life. It's not their issue when you're playing games. It's not their issue on how you play games. You could argue that if you're going to play something like an Elden Ring, where you can't push the pause menu and your child is awake, maybe you shouldn't be doing it. Or maybe you should, have a significant other or someone helping, offload the load of watching them. You can make that argument. Like, here's the thing. Having a child is not like an accessibility or temporary accessibility. It's a responsibility. That's not a anything. You got that little dude or little chick for 18 years. Most of the time, you have them for that long. So to me, you can't really use that excuse to that degree. And I understand the concept behind it. And I don't think she really meant it in a way where it's like, you can't do your job because of children. I don't think she meant anything like that. I do think she implied it the wrong way. But the way she put it out is just wild to me. And I think people need to really look at, how they perceive something and how other people can perceive what they're saying. I don't think anyone's saying in the industry having a child is like a form of a disability. I don't think that's what she meant. Maybe she did. I don't know. I didn't take it that way. I took it where she was like, look, it's an inconvenience, which that's what it is. I don't care if there's a term saying it's like a temporarily, disability or anything like that. A situational disability. I think that's what she said. It's an inconvenience. That's what it is. That's all it is. It's an inconvenience. So I'm looking at these situations and I'm like, we shouldn't put terms on something that's an inconvenience when there's actual people in the industry, in the world, that has severe disabilities and they're still beating this game. There's people beating this game with mind sensors on, where they're telling the game what to do off of like a certain amount of inputs. And they're beating the game, the DLC, using these circumstances. So we can't really use inconvenient situations like you can't push pause. We as the industry got to do better on trying to force our ideology on developers, on publishers. Hell, I'm bad at it myself, you know. Obviously, we selfish individuals. You know, human nature is selfish for the most part. So I can understand wanting a game to be catered more towards you. But at the same time, there's millions of people who love the formula of Elden Ring. Who are you as one individual, or even a set of individuals, to tell these millions of people the formula they love is flawed and it needs to be fixed? And who are you to tell Fromsoftware, a developer that's been extremely successful in the industry, that they're doing anything wrong in their game? You can give input and you give criticism, and I respect that, and I don't look down on Alana for doing any of this. I just feel like, you know, the term she used, and I get it, it's a real term, but it's just like, it's more of an inconvenience than anything, not being able to push pause. You know, it's not like a situational disability. I don't even know where that came from. You know, I don't know who made that term. Someone made that term. But anyway, once again, I want to appreciate her for, you know, sticking through me, man. You know, I'm going through it, but I'm going to be fine. Could try to make like 3 videos a week for the foreseeable future. Obviously, we're still going to be covering Xbox. We're going to be covering more stuff like this as well on the channel. I want to open up the channel just a little bit to, you know, more topics that I find interesting talking about. But yeah, put in the comment section below what you guys feel about this. Do you think Fromsoftware is too hard, or their games are too hard and they need like a pause button? Very curious your guys' opinion on that. And I hope you guys have a good day, and put in the comment section below what you guys feel about that. If you guys enjoyed this video, definitely hit that like button. It's always appreciated. You can always sub to the channel for weekly content. It's always appreciated. And until next time, this is Gaming Addict. I'm out of here. Peace. Whew. It's been a couple crazy weeks, man. I ain't made a video in like 20 days. We changing that, though. We changing that.